Thank you so much for this great and totally unexpected honor. As I think about it, I'm especially honored because our era of graduate students in the 1960s contained people who went on to become really fine scientists, including Edward Tronick, Stephen Sumi, and Stephen Asher. I'm also especially honored because the psychology department at the University of Wisconsin continues to be a great center of current psychological research. I'm very proud to have graduated from the University of Wisconsin Psychology Department. So, what can I leave you graduates with that might be even a little helpful to you? How can you benefit from my admittedly very limited wisdom? So, I've given this a lot of thought. Okay, here goes. I've got 3 messages to give to you, and here they are. Message 1 is follow your heart. Undertake what means the most to you. That's my first message. Message 2, don't be afraid to tackle hard things that may seem at first impossible. And message 3, you don't have to do this alone. Team up with the people you trust the most. And I'd also add a kind of Irish theme here. Grab the good luck that you're handed in your life. You will undoubtedly encounter some bad luck along your way as well. But let me illustrate each of these points with stories from my own unquestionably blessed life. Okay, let me start with point 1, follow your heart. I started my undergraduate life as an applied mathematician. I loved math, and I still do. To this day, I read math books for fun. 20 years ago, I even wrote with my good friend James Murray, whom I was very lucky to meet at the University of Washington. I wrote a book called The Mathematics of Marriage. It's about real difference and differential equations that describe couples' interaction. And that book fulfilled a dream of mine. So when I was 20 years old, I was studying graduate math at MIT. I was diverted from a career in math by my randomly assigned roommate, Bill Bruce. I was very lucky to have been assigned Bill Bruce as a roommate. Bill was studying psychology at MIT, and I wind up finding his books a lot more interesting than my math book. So my message number 1, I followed my heart, and I left MIT and applied to the University of Wisconsin Psychology Department. And that was an enormous career switch. I was lucky to get in, and I grabbed that luck. That leads me to my point 2. Tackle hard things that may at first seem impossible. What I most value about my education at the University of Wisconsin was that I learned how to precisely measure very difficult but very important psychological constructs. I also learned how to observe social interaction. Of course, I was just following a Wisconsin tradition. Harry Harlow's work at the Wisconsin Primate Center in measuring love in rhesus macaques. That's a hard one to tackle, measuring love. But he did it. Mavis Hetherington's groundbreaking research on observing families, and my mentor, Richard McFall's fabulous work on social skills, and Jim Sackett, also at the Primate Center, his brilliant statistical work in measuring lagged sequences of social connection. That Wisconsin tradition combined careful measurement, quantitative observation, experimentation, and innovative statistical tools that made major breakthroughs in our understanding of what it means to be human. These Wisconsin researchers also revealed to my mind the importance of observing emotion at a time when psychology was captivated by behaviorism, a methodology that had no interest at all in emotion. Now there's even an APA journal called Emotion. So how did I keep following my heart? That message number 1. That brings me to my third point. You don't have to do this alone. Team up with people you trust. I was lucky to have a great and beloved Wisconsin mentor, Professor Richard McFall, who guided me to understand and do research on what I was actually puzzling about. He got me to follow my heart as a scientist. I was particularly bad at relationships. And because I'd been bullied in high school, a former social isolate, McFall guided me to study an issue close to my heart. The first one was kids and how kids made friends and how they got accepted or rejected by other kids. So how did I, a former social isolate, wind up helping kids make friends and not get rejected? That was a very hard problem to solve, especially for me. But at Wisconsin, I learned how to observe. So I started there. My own adult relationships with women were also a total disaster at that time. I had no idea how to choose a partner or how to make a relationship work. By the time I started my research, I'd chosen and dated a set of women who had most of the problems known to modern psychiatry. So I wasn't a very good chooser. So how does a completely incompetent, relationship clueless guy study something that hard? The answer is I was trained on how to observe interaction at the University of Wisconsin. So I decided to observe emotions as people interact. That's my point two, tackle something really hard. So point three, I was very lucky to be able to team up with my best friend, psychophysiologist Robert Levinson, professor at the University of California, Berkeley, and lucky to learn from my friend Paul Ekman, who taught me how to read emotions in the human face. And 25 years later, again, lucky to be able to team up with my wife, Dr. Julie Schwartz-Gottman. I was able to grab the luck I'd been handed. In the end, it really worked out. I got to understand the things that were once major life puzzles for me. Stuff I really wanted to know and understand. So now I understand how kids and adults make friends and how they can avoid peer rejection. I've studied competent love relationships and disaster relationships for the past 50 years, including parent-child relationship and children's relationship with other children. And we've mostly in Bob's lab followed couples for as long as 20 years. We've studied couples across the life course, parent-child relationships, and gay and lesbian couples as well. Best of all, now I've got really great friends. And now I've been happily married for the past 34 years to a woman who my mother said was the only good choice I'd ever made in my life. And my mom was not wrong. So I grabbed the luck I was handled with Bob and Julie. We've actually developed the only couples therapy in the world that is based on what effective couples actually do to make their relationships work. It's very effective at preventing relationship disasters and reasonably effective at turning around relationships that aren't working very well. And the story isn't by any means over, which is still so much fun. There's still a lot to understand. How do you help couples get over and end domestic violence, end addiction, survive an affair, survive major depression, anxiety, or past traumas? We're still studying that in my lab in Seattle. It's still a work in progress. So I leave you with these 3 points. Number 1, follow your heart. Number 2, don't be afraid to tackle hard things. And number 3, you don't have to do this alone. You can team up with people you trust. And finally, in all of your life, follow the Irish principle to grab the luck that you're handed. Like me, may your life have lots of fun and adventure as you follow your heart. May your life be filled with accomplishments that mean something to you as you tackle hard things. And may your life be filled with friendship and love as you go through life not being alone, because you really don't have to do this alone. Thanks for listening to me, and remember to grab the best of the luck you're handed in your future.